Do we have a new contender for Best Michael Jordan movie? Or will it always be Space Jam? What's up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. God, I love Space Jam. I also love The Last Dance, but we have a brand new movie revolving around Michael Jordan. Actually, it's revolving around Nike. Is this just another good dad movie, or can it be something more, say, an Oscar contender? Let's talk about it. Air follows the history of shoe salesman Sonny Vaccaro and how he led Nike in its pursuit of the greatest athlete in the history of basketball, Michael Jordan. Well, that's a debate. Is it LeBron or is it Michael? Please, argue in the comments. You're asking me, I'm a bit old school. I love me some Michael Jordan. That's why I was really excited about this film. But I was hoping to see a movie that wasn't just focused on that, but it was kind of focused on the ins and outs of Nike and how it used to be a very different company than what it is now, and how this shoe deal revolutionized really brand deals between brands and athletes that has continued to shift and change over the years. But this was one of the first examples, and we know how it plays out. It's based on a true story, but we don't necessarily know the details. We don't know how interesting the people at play really were and how complex of a situation this really was. I know it sounds like I'm trying to spin it as just a bunch of people talking about shoes, Austin. How fun could it be? Well, it all comes down to the style of a movie like this. And Ben Affleck behind the camera as a director. Yes, he's starring in the movie alongside Matt Damon, but I believe his touch here is important, it's felt, and frankly, I really enjoyed it.
That's what she said.
The whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm asking myself, where's Ben Affleck been? I know where he's been in front of the camera, Batman and all that other stuff, but I want to keep seeing him direct because he lends a very specific style to this movie. We start out, it's 80s, retro nostalgia. I took my cousin Joe, who grew up in the 80s, to this movie with me. He was just thrilled beyond belief because it had that specific style to it. The soundtrack in this movie, and these are things that I didn't expect from Air. It's one of the best soundtracks of the last several years. It's one I want to own on vinyl. I loved it.
I need it!
The songs will kick in specifically and strategically to bring about a certain emotion, but you're also getting that through the dialogue, through that back and forth. And if we're talking one of the best casts of the last several years, I'd say Air has to be in the conversation. It all comes down to, well, how does it work on screen? Do they have chemistry? Do they have a lack of chemistry? The minute you see Chris Tucker on screen, he's going back and forth with Matt Damon. I have missed Chris Tucker, but I didn't know what he was going to be like in this movie. He kind of works as part of the heart of the film. I guess I could say that about numerous characters, but every time Tucker is on screen, I'm smiling. Then you have Jason Bateman adding a different dynamic. It's that dry, very Jason Bateman specific type of humor. He's not playing a different character, but he's playing the type of character that I was hoping to see. And the first time they get in an argument at this board meeting trying to decide, okay, which athlete are we going to pursue? Is it going to be multiple athletes, or are we just going to go after one? Are we going to try to be strategic about it? And all of these ins and outs, they're things that, frankly, I didn't know I was interested in. I knew I was interested in basketball. I knew I really liked Michael Jordan, but they're talking about shoes. How interesting can it be? But these behind-the-scenes dramas, very different type of movie, but Wolf of Wall Street, right? Very snappy, witty, constant dialogue. It's keeping you on the edge of your seat. It's keeping you on your toes, and that movie has a lot to it. This one's more simplistic. This is more along the lines of, well, what we just saw in Tetris. I made the mistake of watching Tetris and then this movie. Very different circumstances, but both behind-the-scenes drama films. Air just gets it all right and does it all so much better, and it really does have the pacing. I mean, the perfect pacing to keep you invested all throughout the film. I never felt bored. I never felt like the dialogue was repetitive. Sometimes they would get in a rut and they would have to pull themselves out, and those were the moments where I'm like, okay, let's see how we can move this along. But even that didn't necessarily bother me. The only time I was kind of like, okay, let's see if we can move this a bit quicker, was honestly the end of the movie. There is this big climactic emotional moment. I'm not going to say what it is, but after that, we still have about 15 to 20 minutes of kind of wrapping up plot threads and doing more things, and the movie has 2 to 3 endings. Every time I'm thinking it's coming to an end, we go to another place, and I'm like, I mean, I love the movie, so I just, spoiled myself.
You idiot.
I don't mind that they had to wrap up those plot threads, but then you had the very cliche moments, and you're going to get a montage or two towards the end. You're going to get text on screen. It's like, okay, this is where the movie's starting to become a bit cliche and conventional. I do wish Ben Affleck could have strayed away from certain things, but by nature, Air is a crowd pleaser. It's a crowd-pleasing movie, so it went for that. It leaned into it. I didn't mind it. I have a feeling those who don't know a lot about Michael Jordan may not love the way this all comes to a head and then wraps up. But those who are invested in the human being, the person, you're going to get chills in those moments. And yeah, it's going to make it all worth it. This movie, it oozes style. It's a vibe. Put that on the movie poster. This movie is a vibe, and it's a very different vibe. It's the kind of vibe that you watch and you just kind of, you get unraveled in it. And, you know, if you're not interested in anything that's going on screen when the movie starts, I hope that it's able to pull you in and make you interested. This behind-the-scenes drama, it feels like this movie was made for me, man. Basketball, 80s nostalgia, retro goodness, good cinematography, couple of shots in here where we're following along our characters, and then we get multiple camera angles, but it never feels choppy. It's like Ben Affleck. It's like he's been here before. It's like he knows what he's doing behind the camera. Well, that being said, this is a very different movie for him. It's not like the same old thing he's used to doing. He's branching out, and he's falling into that kind of conventional crowd pleaser, but putting his own twist on it, and by doing that, it makes it a really damn good movie. That's for sure. A very simple title, Air, the thing we breathe.
Do you mean she puts on airs?
Oh, also, so much to talk about. Let's talk about the other performances. Viola Davis, Matt Damon. Look, Ben Affleck is good, Bateman's good, Chris Tucker's good, Marlon Wayans, he's barely in the movie, he's good. Matt Damon should be considered or talked about for an Oscar. He's not going to be. It's not the type of role that warrants that for some, but for me, I believe he should. Viola Davis, Best Supporting Actress. At this point in the year, you can mark it down. I'm feeling really good about it. She was phenomenal in the movie, did what she had to do, and the way they handled Michael Jordan, her son, in the film, I thought was the right way to do it. I don't know if everyone's going to agree with that, but I appreciated it. Before I give you my score, if you can find it in your heart to drop a like down below, I would really appreciate it. It would help this channel and my soul.
Oh, please. I have no soul.
Air is everything it needs to be and more. This is a simple yet stylish sports flick that dives into an important piece of the Legend story, featuring slick cinematography, a great retro soundtrack, and a top-tier cast. This movie is a big win. I hope it sticks around and falls in the Oscar conversation. Some will see it as more of a crowd pleaser. That's completely okay. It's a dad movie. But guess what? I'm going to be a dad in June. This movie was made for me, man. I loved it. I can't wait to take my dad to see this movie. And my mom, you can come too. Thanks so much for watching this video. I appreciate you guys for watching all that you do for me. And stick around. We have some really fun videos coming on this channel. Super Mario was yesterday. Go watch that video if you want. Or not. That's fine.